And in East Africa, the governor of Nairobi, Kenya, Mike Sonko, has pleaded not guilty to over 30 charges of money laundering, receiving bribes, and conflict of interest in a court appearance held under tight security. Now, for more on this development, I am now being joined by a political analyst, Gbola Oba, for more discussions on this. Many thanks to you, Gbola Oba, for joining us on this hour.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to be on your side.
Let's look at the charges against Mbuvi Sonko. Again, we have issues around corruption, conspiracy to commit corruption, money laundering, failure to comply with laws related to procurement, and all of that. What do you make of this? Exactly. What do you make of all of this?
To be very honest with you, it's a universal phenomenon across Africa. Many of our politicals, when they assume offices, tend to abuse their offices. So one is not shocked that is also happening in Kenya. It only, however, speaks to the unfortunate circumstance where we found ourselves in Africa, where our elite cannot lift us above the level of mediocrity that prevails in governance. And what do I mean by that? Our constitutions are essentially replicas of constitutions of countries, our colonial masters. In the case of Kenya, they're using a form of hybrid presidential cum parliamentary. And in Nigeria and in Ghana, we essentially are intellectuals, so-called intellectuals or elite, essentially would go out, go copy constitutional orders to replicate in our polities, and we have discovered time and time again that those constitutions are not working for our people. Our politicians tend to just come to office and do, look, this guy, according to the prison authorities in Kenya, was said to have broken out of prison, maximum security prison, 20 years ago. Very flamboyant guy who spoils himself on gold and whatever. Now, you could imagine the system, the leadership system that allows such a character,
to rise to that level of power. But let me ask you now, when Jega, who is the former INEC chairman here in the country, he spoke on during the anti-corruption day yesterday, and he said, look, corruption is on the increase in Africa. And he, contrary to what a lot of people say, look, maybe it's dwindling, he said it is on the increase. How can African leaders begin, to curb corruption in the country?
Fantastic question. Corruption, like I said, when I was starting out, corruption is on the increase in Africa because we have gone out to replicate just carbon copy.
But because of our time, quickly, what can we do?
The most strategic thing to do will be to incentivize our populaces to fight corruption and benefit from fighting corruption. Typical example, Gbola Oba becomes the governor of Lagos State. Suddenly people noticed that after I became the governor of Lagos State, I now own properties that I cannot legitimately account for. People who are close to me would know that something really happened when I took office. They should be able to speak to the property. This property, who owns you? If it's Gbola Oba, show us how you have earned enough to own this property. If you cannot show us, the state should confiscate that property, and those who meticulously garnered the credible evidence to bring about the confiscation of those properties should earn from the value of the property.
Quite an interesting conversation, but we do have to leave it there. Many thanks for your time, Gbola Oba.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
And that